Also, as I've said in my Instagram stories a million times, and in my last video, I fucked it a wee bit post-show. It's actually 7 or 6 weeks today. 7 weeks, I think, since prep ended. And I want to just talk about what my reflections are post-show, what my thoughts are now it's all done and dusted, and why I think certain things happened and what I would do differently to sort of, I don't know, help out any other first-timers out there. And if the dog starts harassing me during this, you can enjoy that as well. He's probably going to. But I'm going to keep this uncut and like unedited. I'm just going to cut out like the gaps when the dog's annoying me. So in terms of a recap of my season, I've done 2 shows. The original plan was to do at least 3. And my last show was actually my intended first show. So the 2 shows I done were NABA Scotland, which was on April 11th, and I came 2nd in junior men's physique, and I came 4th in the open men's physique category. That was 7 weeks earlier than my planned first show, and I just sort of dived in there as a chance to have like my family and friends there, because it would be the only show I could do in Scotland. And then my final show on the 31st of May was the UK DFBA Heart of England, which was intended to be my first show. So that would have been the 22nd week of my prep. My prep was 22 weeks in total. The Heart of England show would have been my 22nd week, and that would have kicked off a run of like 3 or 4 shows within the next 4 to 6 weeks. But just the way life happened, I decided I would just do that show and call it there, to sort of prioritise some other stuff. But at that show I came 4th in junior men's physique, and I didn't place in the top 5 in novice junior men's physique. There was 8 of us in that novice class, so I don't know where I placed, but it was good, man. It was a very, very good class. Was a bit gutted at the time, but to be honest, like, my only goal was to compete, and my only goal was for me to have done everything I possibly could do to make sure I was in the best possible position on show day, and I did do that. So as much as I was gutted, I done the work, so I'm still over the moon with like the result of the prep and the physique I presented and everything like that. But so like I said, 7 weeks post show today, and I'm hovering around the 79 kilo mark. For reference, I was 71.7 kilos the morning of my second show day, and I was about 72.5-ish kilos the morning of the NABA Scotland show day. My lowest weigh-in of the full prep was actually 70 kilos on the mark, and then we sort of filled up into the Heart of England show. So 7.5 to 8 kilos up in the space of 7 weeks is obviously not ideal, and the majority of that was on within the first 3 to 4 weeks, and I've sort of maintained where I've been at for the last couple of weeks now, and generally my body composition has just improved while sitting here, which is obviously great to see, because it does mess with your head seeing that body fat pile on so quickly post show. But one mistake I made, and it's by far the biggest mistake I made, was taking the week off work following prep. So obviously at the time of recording this, I still do shifts in the gym, and obviously I would PT on the gym floor as well, and that is the first bit of time off I'd taken off the entire year. So it was the first week in June, so that's literally like nearly half the year without any time off, and being in such a strict routine with training, cardio, everything like that. Taking that week off following prep, having a deload from training as well. You've got cardio, which was in it 5 times a week, no longer there. You've got more flexibility with food that you've never had before, and you've also got no work. And that is the busiest I've ever been on the lead up to the shows, with 30 clients plus 20 hours of shifts a week on the gym floor. So you're talking every single week I was doing like 50, 60 hours between gym floor PTs, online coaching, everything like that. So see, to go from that to a full week off, combined with like no cardio, no training, everything like that, it was a lot of time in my own head, and it just sort of stressed me out a lot. And I think on show day I was very, very flat as well, and I was very gutted about that, but that's out of our control because I was not on stage till like 9 o'clock at night. I got off stage at 2 minutes to 9 from the second class, so I was gutted about that because it wasn't what we'd planned for, it wasn't what we had peaked for, but everyone was in the same boat. But I think like the frustration from that and such a big change in routine, and then obviously having off-plan food for the first time in 22 weeks is enough of a stressor as it is, and it feels weird getting your head around that. All of those things sort of led me to being like, right, I want to be better, I want to get back in the gym and training. Then you're taking a deload, but because you're absolutely battered post-prep. Combine that with still sort of restricting yourself when you're going out for food with like my family, my pals. Because I wanted to stay, I was like, I need to improve. I never just let myself enjoy anything, and it just got to this point where it was like a full week of stress, and it was exactly 1 week to the day post-show, and I just was like, fuck it, I've actually not fully sat and just enjoyed whatever I wanted yet, and I just absolutely got wired in. Don't get me wrong, I'm kind of glad I done it, to be honest, because it was a de-stressor, but that was like a sort of catalyst for it in the beginning, and I wasn't somebody that was eating loads and loads every single day. The next day, Donald, doesn't know why I'm, doesn't get why I'm talking to nobody. But the next day I was straight back on track, but then that sort of started off for like 2 or 3 times a week, just eating fucking stupid amounts. And if I was having my 1 or 2 off plans a week, they were huge, and say I was saving a gap of like 700-800 calories for them, I was probably eating a 3,000 calorie meal, do you know what I mean, a big meal, then a dessert, which again contributed to that conflict in my head of like, oh, you've got to enjoy it, and also being like, no, you need to beat yourself this time, you're frustrated with how it went, you want to beat it, and it's such a strange conflict, and neither side won. It just ended up with me being like, right, I'm going to eat loads, right, I'm back 100% on plan, right, I'm going to eat loads, and it was either like 100% on it or 100% off it, instead of just having the balance that you missed pre-prep. When you do prep, what you miss is having flexibility, and what I went back to was having no flexibility. I went back to an 100% rigid structure, and then just once or twice a week throwing it straight out the window. And that's a daft idea. Really what you should do is find that balance again and straight away initially. But the biggest thing I would recommend is just going straight back on track. Straight away, stick to your meals, be back into your normal routine for a couple of weeks, while fitting in a bit of off-plan food and a meal out here and there and everything like that, because that gives you flexibility that you've missed, and it also lets you sort of get used to normal life again, because normal life is when you're working and everything like that. So if you can go back there, Stig's an attention seeker, and get back into your usual routine, training, cardio, if you're not having a deload and things like that, and enjoy that little bit of off-plan food, it's much more of a seamless transition, whereas the biggest mistake I made was having such a drastic change, and it just continues to mess with your head. The other thing I did do was switch coach, which was not something that I had really planned in my head, but it just seemed like the time was right. Luke, my coach who prepped me, I had been with him for 4 years, and I had learned so much from him throughout our time working together, and I've got nothing but fucking incredible things to say about him, because he took me from just being interested in the gym and wanting to learn a bit more to this being my job, and obviously prepping and like going on to come second in a show this year, which is more than I ever expected. You can see him staring at me. I decided after 4 years of working with him that it was time for a bit of a change up, not for any reason in particular. I just thought I'd learned so much from him, and I've heard so many people, including Luke himself, talk about how much they've learned from working with multiple coaches, that I decided to give it a try. And so far it has been brilliant. It's been absolutely brilliant. But then again, there was a week in limbo there with sort of no plan, which again was daft of me. I should have had a seamless transition between the two, instead of finishing up with Luke like 2-3 weeks post prep, and starting with Taylor, my new coach, a further week later. I should have had the start dates lined up so I was straight in plan again. That probably led me to being looser than I should have been, which landed me at around that 78-79 kilo mark a couple of weeks ago. The best possible thing you can do is just communicate as much as possible, like with your family, your friends, with your coach, everything like that. Like just talk away to absolutely everyone about how you're feeling. One, get the feelings out. You'll also get different opinions and realise that, one, some things you're taking far too seriously and you don't need to, and two, there's other things that you're not taking seriously enough. Plus also you do have a coach there to give you like a kick up the arse when you do need it. You also just need to stay centred on like what your goals are, because if you're like me and you want to continue bodybuilding and you want to do it to a higher standard, then you need to use that to pull yourself back round when you feel yourself going off track. But if you're someone who does it and is not bothered about being looser and spending a bit more time off track, that's absolutely fine. It's person dependent and it's really what you want to do. But for me, I want to do this at a higher standard, and I want to be in a much better position next time round for prepping. So I need to constantly remind myself of that and use that as like an anchor to pull yourself back round and get her off track. And that's literally all I have done to sort of get myself back to now pretty much like the same sort of routine and whatever I had during prep, but with that balance I missed, and being able now to sort of fit in a bit of whatever I want without stressing, and it feels great now. I think there's also a lot of pressure on like social media, obviously sharing your journey, and so many people talking about like you need to have the perfect post show, like your off season's ruined if you don't. But then see, when you dig a bit deeper, the vast majority of coaches and athletes have messed it up at least a wee bit once or twice. Fair play to everyone who hasn't, because it is by far the toughest part of prepping, is that post-prep sort of experience. But aye, that's my thoughts so far. But I think in order to nail it next time round and also know exactly what to expect, sometimes you do have to mess it up a wee bit. Even if you've done it to what you thought was perfection coming out of your first show, the next time round would still be better. And that's just the nature of bodybuilding, isn't it? It's always slightly improving from the previous time and learning from it, but it's not deterred me at all from prepping, and it's not deterred me at all now from like my process and making sure I'm on point with everything. If anything, it's gave me a bit more of a fire to like make sure my training's perfect now, make sure my food is as good as it can be now, while still fitting in that off-plan food and fitting in those meals out with the people that matter and supported me while prepping. And I just gives you a bit of that kick up the arse that you probably need to beat it next time and not let that happen again. Bye, so 7 weeks post-show now, sitting about 79 kilos. I'm feeling great, I'm slowly tightening up. My food is still in a decent position given doing that. I'm still eating over 3,000 calories a day and I'm generally feeling class again, which is brilliant. So there's probably a lesson there and a wee bit of a silver lining, that even if you do mess it up a bit, you can still get your food up to a decent amount and you can still get yourself back feeling good, and it won't take all that time and you won't have ruined your entire off season. It just won't be as smooth as you initially wanted it to be. But I hope there's one or two good takeaways in here. I'm going to cut out all the bits of me stuttering and repeating the same thing over and over again, but it's been a learning curve, and it's something that I'm definitely grateful to have sort of done, to sort of been through now, both for like the sake of working with people, like absolutely anyone, whether that be someone doing a photo shoot, prepping, or just someone who struggles with like overeating or anything like that. I think it's such a valuable thing to go through yourself and learn from, and obviously for anybody watching this, there'll be some sort of takeaway in there, something that you can learn from. And if you are prepping for the first time, hopefully you don't make some of the mistakes I did. And I think the biggest thing to take away from it is enjoy that off-plan food post-show. Enjoy it, don't rip it, but actually do enjoy it. Don't stress yourself, don't try and over-restrict yourself, because it just leads to it getting worse in the long run. But I appreciate anyone taking the time to watch this. As always, links for coaching, Instagram, everything like that is below. Any questions, leave them down below.